is he? Oh, that's good to see. All right. I don't know if I'm live yet. I always have to wait a few minutes, don't I? Um, hey, everybody. Welcome to the bottom line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight we're going to be talking about, well, rockers who hate AI, all right, generated music, all right, and what we give up by listening to it and or even participating in it. Okay. So tonight is Tribal Forum number 65. That's what's up for dinner tonight. I hope you're all having a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Uh, I worked all my life, still am. As a matter of fact, I put full time into this channel. And you know what? American workers here in the United States, they have my absolute uh, not only support, but my absolute respect for what they do. We've got people working a lot older than they used to, don't we? My good friend Royce Eddings is right in the middle of redoing a house. He's still working. I'm 70. Royce has got me by about a year and a half there, right? And he's been working his ass off all week. So, to all of you, especially those of you who are still in the system, some of you may be listening from work. I'm not sure. I saw Oberheim gave us an $8 super thanks and says, have a goodly stream, Michael. I certainly will, Oberheim. Brandon, you know what? This one's going to have a lot to do with you because we're going to get into talking about how some say AI started with the use of synthesizers. I know that you said you're a bit of a keyboardist, nothing super professional. I think I heard you tell Paul on his stream one day, and but that you have a small but vital collection of keyboards. And if I get around to that, I want you to know I don't consider that at all where we're going, but a lot of that did lead into where we are today, right? But when it comes to keyboard, samplers, things like that, as long as, in my opinion, the musician is still playing the notes, that's a performance. And that's not true AI. But if you assigned an AI intelligence to those same keyboards and played it, then that would be AI. And that's kind of the critical departure point for me, Brandon. Okay. But it's real good to see you. I saw your request on handling Sting's lawsuit. Actually, it's the other two suing him from the police. I do want to get into that. It didn't warrant an entire stream. So I'm thinking I want to attack that story on Wednesday as part of my upcoming stream because I really wanted to talk about that, and I know you're curious about it. Excuse me, folks. After this stream, I do want to let everybody know that I'll be joining Royce Eddings on his brand new rebranded channel. Now, the channel's been around forever, but it was Royce in the House. Now it's called The Four Horsemen, and yours truly is one of the featured four horsemen. Over there, we have three permanent panelists so far. It'll be Royce, myself, and Dan McNew. You'll maybe see him in the chat tonight. Sometimes Dan makes it over. He's the other brother channel to this channel, Royce's channel, the Four Horsemen being the prime, brother channel to this channel. And we always have a fourth horseman up. They're kind of revolving the panel in that fashion. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that many claim to be the beginnings of the end of rock and roll. And what we're talking about tonight is at the end of that time period, right? And where rock and roll is gone and how AI fits into that. Let's see. Did I get everything there? Yeah. First, I wanted to handle a bit of channel business. I always do this. Just to let you know, we did make it to 46,200 plus subscribers. All right. Growth has been stinted, but it has resumed. We actually were losing subscribers because of my big mouth on one of my videos. Lost a slew of subscribers that way, but I'm not too concerned. Like I said, that kind of thins the herd. Anything I say on a video is my opinion, and I always openly ask for discussions and disagreements. Okay. And a lot of people got their feelings hurt because the person I was talking about is another one of their gods. Remember, I've talked about that. Some people just cannot. Oh my goodness, hon. I see that. Cop just came in with a super thing. Oh my goodness, let me check this. Oh my goodness, not just the super thanks. That's like a ton of super thanks. Storm Cop, thank you so much. Let me give you a thumbs up there. I can't get you the heart, brother. He says, let's get this party started. Absolutely, brother. And it's so good to see Storm Cop. I know people get busy, and I'm real reticent to bug people, that I have any communications with. And I do have a bit of a communications link with James, right? He's been an early proponent of this channel. He has supported us in so many ways, just like he did just now. But I know people get busy, but Kimberly, more than me, she sees all of you folks out there. As a matter of fact, it's good to see Dr. Rick. And who was the name I said? Hi, Joseph. It's good to see you out there. Who else? Caitlin, the divine Caitlin, 45 RPM. We've got Jay Kleban, longtime viewer, right? Of course, Storm Cop. I did say hi to Joseph. Yeah. Of course, Royce is seen as the four horsemen. And there was an early comment by somebody in here that seemed relatively new to me. Maybe Kimberly is recognizing the name. So many of you. Philip Anderson, right. Philip Anderson, in with a really resounding, he's here, man. He's ready to party. So it's good to see you, Philip. Radio La Princess is in. It's good to see you tonight, right? So many of you. Who else do we have here? Deuce is Wild. Uh, and Dr. Rick. Dr. Rick was the first one in with a comment on this stream. Really quick. I hope you're doing well, Doc. We have two docs in tonight. Doc Insomnia with a lot of, as usual, very penetrating questions. He mentioned he was listening, and was it you, Irger Splitten, or AKA Gear Jam, that was agreeing with him? He said that a lot of you viewers out there, when I give a post on what I'm going to be covering, you guys see it as homework. You both mentioned that. And I see it as homework when I get it prepped for Royce's channel. As a matter of fact, when you guys give me a good question, that's homework for me. I use that term all the time. And these guys did their homework for tonight's stream, and they went in a direction I didn't think of going, even though I have heard some of the AI tunes that they mentioned. Of course, they're talking about versions, AI Beatles songs, brand new songs that sound like the Beatles did it, everything. I suppose that's what you've done. I've listened to those, I've watched those, and I got to tell you both, to you, Gear Jam, and to Doc Insomnia, one of you said it just sucks the soul right out of you when you listen to it, and it really does. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that people will sometimes put down the Beatles. Well, they weren't the greatest musicians on the planet, right? I think they're. I mean, if you're going to talk about, was George Harrison an Eric Clapton? No, he wasn't a Jimmy Page, right? Was Paul a John Paul Jones? Well, for what he did and his he composed on the bass. Not to say John Paul Jones didn't, of course he did, but Paul took it from more of a Tin Pan Alley songwriter approach, embracing later the psychedelia, and really took off on it. So I would say McCartney was a world-class bass player. Lennon, if there is such a thing as a world-class rhythm guitarist, rhythm, being John Lennon's middle name, He certainly was. I mean, think about what's that? Close your eyes. Da, 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 da. Have you ever tried to play that on guitar? Yeah, that'll drive you insane. Just play the rhythm track on that, right? So, but they were real and they learned to approach through. Often you could hear this through George Harrison's guitar work, almost a clumsy approach, especially if you listen to isolated tracks. A lot of people are using AI to isolate, Beatle tracks, things like that. Now, I don't think that's a bad use of AI to strip down tracks and isolate it for a study. I think that's kind of cool. I kind of am a sucker for that type of AI. Now, I've also talked about I'm a sucker for AI being treated as a slave, right? I've brought it up in the past. The Revolver album used AI technology to isolate tracks, but it was still humans, I hope, that were still in charge of making the final mixing and everything that. So if you have a damn robot that's going to go ahead and mix or isolate the tracks, I have no trouble with that. That's kind of those two technologies are kind of connected. All right, so keep that in mind as we go on tonight. Now, I did want to give a shout out to those who gave us super thanks. We've already gotten two wonderful super thanks. And again, thank you, James. I certainly appreciate that wonderful gift. On our last, I always do this. Whoever gives us a super thanks on my last stream, I then go ahead and give them one final sayonara thank you on the way out. Now these guys get the attention immediately on the stream. Then in my next video, they get an actual visual shout out, and then one more. It's my way of saying thank you. I appreciate you supporting the channel. You are keeping this channel alive. And hopefully Wednesday, I'll have more to talk about that. All right. But it is a matter of keeping the channel up and running. And you guys are doing a fantastic job. I appreciate each and every one of my Patreons. But I do make this for you, the viewer. Those of you who are watching me right now, it doesn't matter. All this material is for you guys. All right, free of charge. All right, but these guys came in, and I just love you to death. Ben Scheidegger with a $2. We always call that the power of two. They add up with a $2 super thanks. Thank you, Ben. Rockin' Robin Bird, we call her the Divine. Actually, there's a few of the tribe we call Divine. The Divine Caitlin, right? The Divine Agent Pepsi. Rockin' Robin Bird came in with a $3 super thanks. Deuces Wild with a $2 super thanks. Deuces Wild followed that with a $5 super thanks. Agent Pepsi, the Divine Agent Pepsi, came in with a $5 super thanks. And the Four Horsemen, Royce himself, came in with a $10 super thanks. Thanks, Royce. I appreciate that. And when I made a portion of that video into one of my regular videos, which just went gangbusters as far as views, Paul Duggan, I think, or Dugan, gave me a £4, basic, a £5 super thanks. I think you're from across the pond, aren't you, Paul? I appreciate that so much. And that takes care of that bit of business. We have merch. I've said this. Oh my goodness. Let me see what we got here. Just came in with a super thing. Oh, Deuces. Wow. We had $20 super thanks. My goodness, Deuce. Thank you so much. Let me see. Listen to an AI 70s hard rock bluesy band called Golden Spire. I hadn't heard of that one. We're going to talk about one, though. Well, I don't know if they're hard rock, but anyway, it was a whole album with tracks. Yeah, we're one of the artists I want to bring up has more than that. A 1974 album, a scary and sad experience because deep down in the heart and soul, it lacks. It lacks those exact things. I think is what he's saying there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that. Now, I said we have merch. You just click on the title, and you can order one of three mugs. I'll show you two of them right now. I have a backwards image. We haven't corrected that yet. That's all part of what uh, we're even thinking of. moving the studio. And if that happens, then we're going to be very, very busy for a while. All right. So, first of all, I wanted to tell you to my longtime viewers a few weeks ago, certainly maybe 2 weeks ago, uh, but it was a few streams back where I said that I am putting together the unholy 10 of classic rock, right? And in order to understand that, I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about because it fits so well into what we're talking about tonight. And when I went through this list, AI went up. All right. Now, this list isn't complete. It is complete on what's going to be on the list, but I want number one to be the greatest concern. Number 10, the least of these concerns, but a grave concern. Otherwise, it wouldn't be one of the unholy 10, right? And right now, and this, a lot of these will change. As a matter of fact, when we get to Avatar shows, it will be going up on the list. Okay, keep that in mind. Number 10, rockers who just don't have it anymore, which leads to the bottlenecking of new talent. And then what do we wind up? We have no new talent when these bands pass away. There's nobody left in the batter box to save the game. Number 9, residencies, and not just because that is kind of connected to number 10, and only a lot of rockers who just can't do it anymore wind up resting at residencies more than creating, right? But there's a whole ton of reasons why it stands on its own. At number 8, political preaching at paid per views, okay, or venues, I should say. I am not for that whatsoever. And I think it divides audiences. And that's not the spirit of rock and roll that I remember when rock and roll was truly still a magical thing. Remember that, folks? I know a lot of you come from my generation and the days when you got a new album and you perused the liner notes. You had to because if friends came over, that's what was on those liner notes were going to be part of the conversation, you know? So even if you weren't that interested in them, I always was, but I knew friends who weren't that interested in it, and at least they caught the main point so they could be involved in the conversation. That's how important rock and roll was to the teenagers of my day, right? When classic rock ruled the day, all right? So at number 7, I had Avatar shows. Number 6, bands who tour with few or no original members. That gets into branding, not banding, right? Number 5, touring with no new material. All right. I'm talking about bands that still sound good. They're putting on a good show, but they haven't recorded a damn thing anymore. I know that Michael Boswell and I disagree a little bit on this, but I can't help but think they lose the artist. So instead of being rock artists, I see those more as rockers. Michael sees they're still rock artists because they originally penned the songs that they're playing. They're just not currently creating. And all I can say as an artist myself, if I'm not currently creating, something. Like right now, I'm so busy creating what you see on this channel and getting that's the turn on for me to do this, folks. Right? It gives me a creative outlet. Otherwise, I'd probably still be busking with my guitar at choice spots in downtown Modesto, California, to make a buck or two, or to play at wineries or things like that. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. And I'm telling you, new material, creativity is essential. And when creativity is stopped, then what really does rock and roll have to offer? Have all the great songs been written? I do not believe that in a heartbeat. I've been writing songs since I was about 14, okay? And some of my best stuff I wrote in my late 50s, early 60s. Okay. So high cost of concert tickets are at number 5. Number 3, lip syncing and backing tracks. Number 2, this used to be number 1, folks. the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the renamer of rock, the rebrander of rock, and a horrible, horrible organization that should be torn down and start. We need to start all over again. And then at number one, AI. Okay. So keep that in mind as to why I decided to do this. Now, we can only do a brief overview of what I want to talk about. We'll get deeper into this as we go along in other coming weeks and everything. But what, as far, okay, yeah. Now, I did want to say one thing is what is AI? I mean, if you think about it, now we talked about one particular kind of AI where you give it a directive, it does a very simple task, and then the humans take over. I'm not against that kind of AI at all. I'm not against technology advancements at all. I try to stay afloat as far as basic knowledge and all of that. And I'm in my 70s, so that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is that when you give it a brain, and on top of that, you teach it through other people's examples, styles, writing styles, guitar playing styles, singing styles, and everything. And all you have to do is type in a description, and it will create a brand new song for you. Okay. Not only that, usually two or three versions, and it all happens within seconds. And we're going to talk about one that took a whole 2.5 minutes to create, and you won't believe the results. All right. So, first of all, I wanted to go over to this latest poll. Here's what you guys think. Just a basic question on AI. And it basically asked this. It said, how would you rate your experience regarding AI created music? The first response, I love it. Doesn't matter where it comes from if it's good. In other words, if it's good music. The second response, some of it is decent. I just dig a good groove, baby. Right? Third, I'm not a fan. Give me real artists or nothing. And the fourth response, I hate it. We are being babysat by robots. Now, in last place was I love it. Okay. In second to last place was some of it's decent. I just dig a good groove, baby. All right. Both of those together accounted for 8% of your vote in over 700 votes. And yet at 60%, we've got I'm not a fan, give me real artists or nothing. And then at 32%, I hate it. We're being babysat by robots. And if I was going to vote on that, that's exactly the one I would vote on. Now, I've given the example of a 4-year-old, right? And you're going to introduce the 4-year-old or a 3-year-old, little girl, little boy, right? And you're going to introduce them to art. And so, what do a lot of parents do? They'll buy them a coloring book, won't they? Yeah. Now, the coloring book, traditional coloring books, come with the picture complete. An original artist has already drawn that thing. It's very simple lines so that a 4-year-old will understand the boundaries of objects and persons or whatever that are in that picture. And it's the job of the parent to encourage the child to, well, stay in the lines for one thing. All right. To not maybe just do this. All right. Which are all very primitive artistic expressions, if you think about it, especially when a child colors outside the lines, right? I saw that. Oh, is it Michael? I got to get back in here. Oh, Michael, there's your thumbs up. I disagree. AI can enhance a performance and extend an artist's legacy. The future, or rock and roll, or the future of rock and roll, Michael. Okay. So Michael definitely disagrees with me here. All right. And I think that as an enhancement, Michael, we would agree. But when you use a machine like Suno, for example, right? You go in. Here's what you can do. All right. I want write me a song in a minor key, sad, about me and my baby breaking up on a Saturday afternoon over coffee. You'd be amazed at what would come out within seconds of that. All of those algorithms trained from the very best solos of Jimmy Page, the very best solos from Toto, Steve Lukather, the very best solos of all, and you tell them, I want a version from a female singer and I want a version from a male singer. I'd like to have a country rock flavor to this one, and I'd like to have a Celtic flavor to that one. All right. And then they do this thing, and the user of these often feels like that little kid who's finally learned to color in the lines. Oh, goody, goody. Look what I made, a brand new mud pie. Except that at least with the 4-year-old, you've got real mud and a real 4-year-old patting it down and making a mess of themselves, right? This was all done by a few, in my opinion, Michael, wannabe suggestions, and it is absolutely amazing about what's going on. Now, before I get to your point, Michael, I do want to bring up this. This was an article I covered a year ago, and this is when I started really taking a look at AI, right? And this article was one from UCR, and it was published in April of 2024. And it was around that time that I covered this for the first time. In that article, it says a letter signed by 200 artists, including Pearl Jam, John Bon Jovi, and REM, called on AI developers, your your iPad's doing it to me again, baby, to change their approach to how music is used with technology. The strongly worded statement from the Artist Rights Alliance expressed concerns that the value of human creativity is being devalued by the way art is used to train language models, amounting to an assault on human creativity. Make no mistake, we believe that when used responsibly, and again, Michael, keep that in mind. I said there are responsible uses of AI that I'm all for. AI has enormous potential to advance human creativity. See, it needs to advance that for me, Michael. It has to support human creativity, but not to brainwash the human that plays with the toy into thinking that the human has created something when that statement is anybody could say that. Anybody on the planet. Samantha, my neighbor from down the street, could come to me. I broke up with my boyfriend. I need to, would you write? I could write her a song, I guess, that would do it, right? And she might be impressed with that. Then she goes and tells her friends, I wrote this song. Why? Well, I'm the one who supplied the lyrics. Actually, you didn't supply any of the lyrics. You just said what you wanted the lyrics to indicate. I wrote the lyrics, right? So when you put this into the hands of a machine, who are you listening to, first of all? What are you listening to? And what does it mean for everybody else in the surrounding music industry? Okay, so that was one article that I covered before. Now, where has it gone in the last year? Well, a brand new UCR article talks about it. It says it's often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Unfortunately, when it comes to a lot of the pictures of classic rockers currently circulating on social media, some of those words include fake, AI, and slop, right? Although many people are already well aware of the dangers posed by the AI technology that that's capable of producing vaguely lifelike renderings of people, of real people doing real things. They've never actually done. We've also been conditioned for generations to believe what we see in photographs. So it doesn't take much at all for some fairly outlandish things to get on through. Now, the article talks about how an AI picture of, or a couple of pictures of Steven Tyler from um, Aerosmith, him talking to a trucker. Then the next thing you know, the two of them are jamming. This is all fake, you know, and deep fakes are happening. Now, what does that have to do with what I'm talking about? That's completely different from the music. Is it really? See, the deep fakes have gotten so good that Rick Beato got himself into the act. As a matter of fact, let's see. Yeah, where was it? Yeah, right down here. He created for CBS. CBS was doing a special on AI. They've been doing this all week, right? And in the report, the reporters, before they introduce the voiceover reporter that will report on Rick Beato creating what we're going to be talking about, they said in their introduction that this person, Sadie Winters, is not a real person, but someone we created because they asked Rick Beato to do it for this story. So they're already buying in to the fantasy to begin with while they're reporting the dangers of AI. They've already succumbed to it, folks. They're claiming that they've created this Sadie Winters. Who is Sadie Winters? Well, Sadie Winters is a young brunette songwriter, singer-songwriter, with a song that has had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, and she doesn't exist. Rick Beato spoke her into existence with the assistance of AI. And I believe at the time he was using Suno, and it took him 2.5 minutes to create her. Now, if you listen to it, they're still getting the bugs out. I think your casual listener, most casual listeners, would have been fooled and wouldn't have immediately thought this was AI. That's how good this is. If you've got some experience, I still hear the glitches and everything, but those are months away from being worked out, folks. I mean, this is right at our doorstep, if you think about it, right? And one of the things I heard was the lack of emotion. Now, a couple of you in the peanut gallery tonight said that that's exactly what you're experiencing when you hear AI music, which, by the way, ain't going to be so easily identified. When the portion of the song wanted to emote emotion, guess what they did with the video? They had this fake woman who never existed, and you could swear, how could they do that? That's a real woman up there, right? And she's crying like she would in the video to add more emotional depth. This thing is designed to fool you, okay? Because the video was all part of this and everything else. Now, what about other bands who are already being attacked by AI one way or another? What about this? Let's see. There it is.
Oh, White Monkey just came in with a super thing.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, White Monkey.
Well, that'll give this time to load up.
Thank you, White Monkey.
Yeah, and White Monkey, aka Franco Blondie, with a $5 super thanks. Thank you so much, White Monkey. He says it's amazing how they use attractive humans for AI. Yeah, good point. Why not have a bunch of dinosaurs singing soft rock? It's all weird deception, man. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And I'm sorry to hear that your other channel got lost to you again. I was over on your video, but I was getting set up for this, brother. Everybody go over to White Monkey's channel. It's the channel nobody subs to, right? But thank you so much. And yeah, as a matter of fact, when I was doing research for this, I actually did find an AI video with dinosaurs singing a rock song. Okay. So it's gotten crazy. It absolutely has gotten crazy. Now, I was going to talk about this is what happened to one band, if it'll load up. Okay, here it is. Good Lord, it's all over the place, baby. It says, and this is another classic, Ultimate Classic Rock article, or this piece is based on that. According to Ultimate Classic Rock, an instrumental tune called Name This Night was recently added to Spotify's official profile for Toto, sparking excitement about new music. Oh, they thought Toto was getting back together. Kind of impossible, but yeah. But the release didn't feature the band's iconic logo and doesn't actually have anything to do with the group that wrote hits like Africa and Roseanne, Hold the Line. That's because it's fake AI. It's a fake AI generated song or instrumental, according to Toto's only remaining original member, Steve Lukather. Okay. I'm surprised Spotify let this on. Yeah, what up with that, Steve? There is not much we can do but catch them and have it taken down. It's shameless now. The singer and guitarist told the publication he filed for a formal complaint and had the song removed from Spotify. However, Name This Night is still available on YouTube and other platforms like Apple Music. Now, I didn't check to see if it's on my Apple Music, but what is up with that? It's not by them. That's false advertising. And that's not being upfront with what you're listening to. If I had seen that on Apple Music, because I have a pretty good uh, trust record with Apple, I trust them about as far as I can throw them. But they always strive for perfection and quality and what they offer for exorbitant prices, but they do that. And I got to tell you, the way I'm looking at it is if that's on there, I'm going to have to check that out. I'll let you guys know. I didn't see that when I first went over that article, that if that's on Apple and they're saying that's by Toto, that's a complete ripoff, right? And then there's
Oh my
the other
God.
thing that's on my
Natalie
mind.
Angelo just came in with a super thank
I
you.
saw that at the last second.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
$5. Thank you, Natalie. Natalie Angelo, the divine, another divine. Uh, Happy last day of August. I know September's looming by the hour. Before September will be here before I get any
I
sleep tonight.
know.
Uh, August Tribal Warriors. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate it so much. Now, if you clicked on the my thumbnail, you will have seen the band Velvet Sundown. All right, there they are. I'm looking at it right now. Here, I'll give you a kind of a peek if it doesn't go flipping out. There they are. I know it's backwards, but it says Velvet Sundown. There they are. Handsome group of young men there, right? And they've got a song out. As a matter of fact, they released the song. I heard it, and a lot of soft padding and stuff in there. Again, my trained ear heard AI, but I don't think your average person would, and evidently not because they got hundreds of thousands of fans. And when they came out, shortly following, a full album came out with another full album weeks after that, and a third full album was released for later in July when this article was written. I didn't have the guts enough to see if they had the guts to actually release that album. All right. So when they were questioned, I wanted to hear see this part. When I driven this is yeah. There's a part here. Dust and silence using and oh boy, I thought that was going to be okay. Yes, it is. Here it is. Okay. When they when the band's representative answered Rolling Stone magazine's, dig this. On July 6, 2025, the Velvet Sundown Spotify bio dropped the pretense, admitting they're a synthetic music project. That's what they call themselves now. Using AI for composition based on what it's been taught on how other uh, humans create. So it's fake to begin with, in my mind, right there. Uh, Vocals and visuals. In other words, the four gentlemen you saw in that picture I just brought up never existed any more than Sadie Winters ever existed. Now we have four imposters to humanity to consider here, right? They call it an artistic provocation. An artistic what? What are you trying to provoke here?
Oh my goodness, Michael
Makes me wonder.
came in with a super thing.
Oh, I'll have to get to this.
Oh, Michael, thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Thanks, Michael. $2 super thing. Everyone is hopping at the high school hop. Everybody's hopping at the high school hop. And that is that your area, or did I say something? I'm missing that connection there. But dig this. But it feels more like a cynical stunt. Okay, a supposed spokesperson, Andrew Freelon, told Rolling Stone they used Suno. All right, we talked about Suno, and that's what Rick Beato used. That's what a lot of people are using. There are other alternatives, and they are fighting with each other. An AI music generator, only to later claim that he was an imposter, piling on absurdity upon absurdity. This isn't art as much as it's a tech demo masquerading as creativity. Couldn't have said that better myself, right? That's what it is. This is a masquerade of human creativity. Human creativity. That you can't teach that to a robot, right? And yet we're being fed this stuff all of the time. What else was there? You got that down? Yeah, Pearl Jam, everything else. All right. Now, there's where I wanted to take this one step further. Right now, there is a lot of action happening from the big three. Okay, was that Universal Music Group, Warner Music, and Sony Music, and they are dead set against this right now as it stands. You cannot you cannot copyright this stuff legally, right? That's around the bend, right? But this stuff is being created and people are listening to it, and it's got the ears of them. Here's my question to them. Right now, they're fighting them. What happens if, especially the biggest of them all, Universal Music Group, decides to buy Suno or one of its competitors and develop artificial music based on taught to the artificial intelligence based on the music they own? And then they sell that without even a copyright. Although I can guarantee you they'll be asking for a copyright right after. Right?
Super things.
He did, didn't he?
Oh, Josh, thank you.
Oh, Josh, JOS. We just know him as JOS. We call him Josh. What does he say? August 31st, 1976, George was found guilty of subconscious plagiarism. Uh, uh, Ronnie Mac song, He's So Fine, using My Sweet Lord. Right, right. He's so fine, dun, 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 my sweet Lord, dun, dun. Right. And then even the change to B minor to the D, right? Famous song, famous example. And where would that go? Okay, so there are all kinds of things that you use to indicate whether or not this is a brand new song or not, right? And sometimes it gets through the barbed wire. It gets out there, and someone say, "Hey, wait a minute, you stole that from me," right? So what does that mean to human owning these songs? This is why I never wanted. Original artists selling to these big publishing companies. I was against that right from the get go. I wasn't really happy with what a lot of the family estates were doing, you're right. But I at least, thought that, well, there's a legacy they're going to guard. And these bigger music groups, they don't care. It's just cattle for them to drive, right? And what happens when a group like Universal Music Group grabs one of these and then doesn't fight it because they own the songs and they'll train this damn thing on all the songs they own, all the artists that they own, all of that stuff, and start putting this out, whether they get a copyright to this or not. There's still money to be made, and we know that. And why wouldn't we? I mean, why wouldn't they, I should say? All right. Why wouldn't they take that extra spot? Right now, they're fighting them. But remember, removing the artist from the woodpile is exactly what those guys do for a living. All right, folks, you know what? I'm going to cut it off early tonight. This entire studio is burning up. And if I'm going to make it over to Royce's, I'm going to have to cool this place down. That takes a moment. And I got to turn off a lot of electric equipment. Yeah, baby.
Can I tell you something? Michael Boswell said Sony owns Michael Jackson, the Jacksons, and Beatles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so many of these catalogs are owned by big corporations and they're fighting. We talked about this. I just got through talking about this. When you own music, they are the owners, right? But you got to be careful with what you're going to let them get away with. I don't mind them coming for their pound of flesh. I mean, it's the American way. They paid for that ownership. They bought it. They made people like Bruce Springsteen into billionaires, Bob Dylan, right? Which I wish those two artists hadn't done that. But and with promises and I'm sure candy and flowers at the door that they'll treat their catalog with respect and everything. That lasted about 1 minute after they signed that deal, and now they'll do damn well what they want with it every single time, folks. All right. Hey, listen, I'm so sorry I have to shut down. We've got 103 degrees here, and it's the humidity is crazy. I am sweating like crazy. And if I'm going to be able to get over to Royce in time, I'm going to have to shut this down just a little bit soon tonight. I'll try. Oh boy. Now we're talking about how hot it's going to be on Wednesday, but I'll do my best to make it up for you with a little bit of extra on Wednesday's stream, folks. All right, so now keep in mind that's about 40 minutes from now. Royce will be on at 6:30. That should give me enough time to, uh, you know, uh, uh, quench my thirst and to get the air conditioning back on here so I can go for another hour at least over there. All right, folks. I once again, I hope you're having a wonderful holiday. I want to thank each and every one of you for your wonderful super thanks. We're going to be talking more about the channel, where it's going, and everything. Probably in my next stream. It all depends on heat and what I'm talking about, but it's coming up, and we'll clue you into some of the changes we're trying to make happen here. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line. Tonight has been Tribal Forum number 65, where we have identified, or at least begun to identify, one of the unholy 10 of classic rock, the number one out of all of them: AI, artificial uh, imitation. They should have called it AII, artificial imitation intelligence, right? All right, folks. I'll see you at 6:30 on the Four Horsemen. All right. Royce is out there right now. You see him as the Four Horsemen. Go on over to the channel. Make sure you give that stream a thumbs up. It starts at 6:30, and subscribe, man. He's of the tribe. All right, folks. Night.